Hello,
Great. So
hello.
welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome and bienvenue. Welcome. This is the November uh, Global Communication Free Zoom about the 7 steps, as you may, if you're seeing this, see it in the background. The 7 steps to flawless communication. Yes, I'm Cass Thomas, and this is the lovely Dr. Sasha. And we are doing these Zooms together. Once a week, we're meeting up, and once a month, we're meeting up with the global abundance of people for global communication. Yeah. So, The 7 Steps is a book, barely small, teeny little book in 20 languages, and of course, in the 21st language, which is energy, right? The first language. And it's available online as an ebook. It's available ordering, and you'll find those in the chat where to get that. It's also a program that we're engaging with. Dr. Sasha will tell you about a bit about that. And it's also a song. I have not put it out there in the world yet, but I will let you hear it. And the workshops, we have teachers around the world who do amazing workshops, and each and every one of us has a unique way of communicating, right? There's so much more that unites us than separates us, which is like a tagline for the 7 steps. But the way we communicate is quite unique. And so this is what we'd love to share with you today. And Dr. Shasha will take it away. I'm doing rhyming. I don't mean to rhyme, but I do it all the time.
Amazing. So welcome everybody. We're very glad to have you all live, and those of you who might watch it in the future. We at the Seven Steps are very excited to do this particular call because we've termed it Communications, a Pathway to Healing. And it's a time of change on the planet. It's a time of craziness. I know India is having its mega festival Diwali right now, so we have like a lot of festivities, a lot of social gatherings, a lot of people meeting, and a lot of change. And um
How cool is that? That's lovely. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are new to the 7 steps, welcome. For those of you who have some exposure with the 7 steps, welcome. We're very happy to have you all here. And if you haven't gotten the book yet, please do. It's a beautiful book. It really does take you on this journey, and you can use it every day if you'd like to. And that's one of our targets, is to increase the way that we have this access to flawless communication and to be able to be flawless communication in the world. And it's easier than you think, although sometimes we love our complications. So, you know, so
Exactly. And sometimes it's so easy, especially the book, right? The each step, it's just like one or two small pages, right? There's lots of teachers around the world who actually can walk you through that, and they have
yeah, we do
classes.
have we have workshops, we have intro classes, we have the prelude class, we have the explosion class that's done only with Cass, and the intro and the prelude are done with all of us teachers all over the world. So definitely do a class, because in a class setting, it's very different and it's deep and unique and life transformative. So yeah, welcome to the 7 steps. So today we're talking about pathway to healing. And this was a topic that kind of came to us when we were discussing what we'd like this month to, what we'd like to share with you guys about using communication, and especially the 7 steps tools, to accelerate, amplify, create ease, and maybe discover how quick a journey in healing any area in your life or changing any area in your life can be if you were to communicate with um, an authenticity with yourself and authenticity with what you are communicating with, and being willing to listen to whatever shows up. So definitely I know that it has healed me in more ways than I can count. And I'm sure that a lot of the Seven Steps teachers and people who've taken the class also have this perspective. So, Cass, can you tell us more about this?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask you, um, if what is healing? What
Healing.
does
Oh,
healing mean? The pathway, the road to healing. What is it? What do you know about it? In addition to her being a medical doctor, Dr. Sasha. Yeah, just what is that about? Is it physical healing? Is it something in your body? Is it what do you know about that?
thank
What
you for that
awareness?
question. Yeah. Because for me, it's very wide spectrum. Healing can look like um, a change towards the life you know is possible, towards the living you know is possible, towards the space with your body you know is possible, towards your finances being where you'd like them to be, towards your relationships being more generative and kind. Like healing is not just and towards you, absolutely. Like we all have this idea that if there is a physical symptom, then there is disease. Or if there is like a mental symptom, a symptom of any kind, then there is healing that is required. But say if you had a life that you just might not be enjoying as much. Well, we I have begun to look at precursors to disease, which is what is that first thing that then creates what do you call it? Like right before the disease begins, where does that stem from? How does it occur? And how do you catch it? One of the things we speak of in the seven steps is the connection you have to you, which is the first phase, right? And to me, that really got me thinking, if I was really connected to me, then would I even allow for that? Yeah, disease is just a lack of ease. And you'd be surprised that that exact line is written in all the medical textbooks, plain as day, but nobody reads it. And nobody wonders and asks, what is ease? Yeah, so when you look at this connection to yourself, then it might get a little more difficult for you to create or for you to go down the pathway of disease. Because when you're connected to yourself, what are you going to choose? The like where are you going to go? How is that expression going to be? And that's something that you can then discover by connecting to yourself every day and discovering more about you that you didn't know was possible, discovering more about others that they might know is like they may not know is possible, but you might be able to recognize that. And I think that healing is something that we all require, we all can thrive on, the earth requires it, and it isn't like, oh my God, I'm going to do something and it's like the one ring to rule them all. I don't think that's how that works, because there is no one ring to rule them all. Like, say, suddenly, if I put you in 32-degree weather, okay, 32 degrees Celsius weather, so it's really hot. And then suddenly you enter a room that's about, say, 10 degrees, okay? Your body is going to take time to adjust from this sudden shift in temperature, correct? And most people then often have what we call as a common cold because of such weather changes. And then we just put it in this generalization that this is what's occurring. But nobody really goes deeper into how can you be connected to your body, which is step two, and talk to your body and actually work with your body to not get to the place where the body has to suffer or you have to suffer or any form of that. Like if you notice that a child, if any of you are parents or if any of you were a kid, do you remember a time when you were a kid that uh when you were a kid and you got ill, more than medication, you just wanted to be hugged and loved and touched and nurtured. And your body wanted some form of attention that it wasn't being given. And that is that gap in communication that we don't often bridge very often because we're not taught that, and we're not educated in that area where we could expand our ability with how everything communicates, and then how we can use that to create a better life. So yeah, I can talk about this for hours. I
Yeah,
love this
no, I
topic.
just was getting ready to type in there that
Yeah.
30 degrees Celsius is almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, just saying.
Yes.
And 10 degrees is about Celsius is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, just saying. Because when you're in the US, you don't even know about Celsius. You never
Celsius.
go there. Yeah, absolutely. And disease in English, it is like having not having comfort with ease, dis-ease, right? So with
Almost like a
mm,
dismissal of ease. Like imagine if you were communicating with ease, or ease was trying to communicate with you, and you were just dissing on it and you were like, no, go away, no, go away, no, go away. Or, and imagine if a friend of yours tried to do that with you, how would you feel? How would that make you respond? And in similar ways, ease responds to you that way as well, because we're literally saying no to it. We're communicating with it in a way that doesn't allow it to come into your life.
and what does that create in your life if you're not really willing to receive that or have that or enjoy that? Is that what creates uh, illness or mental or physical or, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. It because it begins that journey where you have to separate and you have to disconnect and you have to sort of go away, or you kind of like, a lot of the times when we get really ill, it's usually because the body is demanding your attention. Now, imagine if you gave it that attention on a more consistent basis, and you were present with your body a lot more, and you were present with you a lot more, because they both are very connected. And so if you're not present with one, it will reflect on the other. It's just how that works. It's like um you can't drink a glass, you can't drink water without something to hold it in. It's the same with the body and the being, right? They work together, which is how you kind of have to recognize that it is an inclusion of both. So if you're not kind to you, it might reflect on the body. If you're not kind on the body, it might reflect on you. And have you noticed that when you're not feeling too good, your face shows it? Like your eyes show it, your skin shows it. But then when you're extremely happy and you're joyful, your face glows. There's an internal glow that you can see. Your eyes are shining brighter. Your skin is glowing, and it has this almost like divine look on it, right? But then when you're bogged down or stressed out or have anxiety of any kind, you can see it in the subtle musculatures of your face. You can see it, like some people's eyes will be really sunken, and you'd feel like, that instinct that kicks in for all of us, like, can I help you in any way? And why does that kick in? It's because you know that there's something there that isn't fully connected. There's something there that needs to change and needs to be brought to the light.
Right. So, this step two is about talking to your body, step two of the seven steps. And step three is about lowering your barriers. And step four about going beyond any mask or veil. So that's what popped up for me when you were talking about that. And when people are interested in really having more ease with communication, right? We always say start first with you, right? Because the way you're communicating with you. So with Dr. Sasha is saying is how when we're not communicating, without any glitches or, stopping points, when we're not communicating with ourselves, right? Step one, our magic, our uniqueness, right? Step two, with our bodies. Then we start having disease, a disease, and it starts showing up either mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah. And so the communication that you're having in this period of change, right? Every month is a period of change. It was month of November in 2023, which is where we are, hopefully, at the moment. There's really an opening to activate, right, your capacities to have more healing for you and be that vibration for others. And so, yes, go ahead, Doctor.
Like if you look at the cycles of the earth as well, right? Like right now is a period where most of the animals and the birds either migrate or go into hibernation. And they go within the earth, they go within themselves, they rest. It's a period of rest, it's a period of relaxation, it's a period of unwinding. And yet, we as humans, this is a period that could be quite stressful because the holidays are around, and that creates like, oh my God, what am I going to do for this? And what am I going to do for that? And like people and their thoughts and everything else. And it can get overwhelming because technically this period was actually designed for you to relax. And this period was designed for you to take some time off for yourself, for your body, reconnecting to your life, seeing where you'd like to go in the next year. And you can do all kinds of creative things during this period. So, you know, healing is not just about, um, it's not just about changing something that's wrong, you know? Sometimes it might not be just about like, we often look at it as only if there is a symptom will I look at it, or only if I'm having sniffles I will look at it, or if there's a fever I will check it out, or if I'm really irritated with the contraction then I will look at it. But what if we could introduce a different way where through communicating with everything, we start to look at living in a very different way. We start to look at like, and this doesn't mean that you have to give up anything in your life. It just means that you would be communicating with everything from a very different space. And that can be very generative because you might discover more things than you've ever allowed yourself to discover before. So, it's this beautiful thing where you don't need for things to be wrong for you to have more. You don't need for things to be, you to be in a bad place for you to choose greater for you. You don't need to be ill to then choose health, right? You can just go there nonetheless, and you can explore like that place where it could just be getting better and better every single day by learning that presence is what's going to take you there. It's not this is a long game. It's not like a short term I'm just gonna hit arrows in the bullseye and call it quits. That's not how this works. It's more like, yeah, there are bullseyes, but then did you see there's another target that's like a mile away? And then did you see there's another target that's like 200 miles away? Then did you see the one that's like a billion miles away? Like imagine shooting for something more long term and something more effective and something more sustainable for you, for your living, for your body, for your relationships. Like this can translate into every area in your life. And you can have a lot more ease because let's face it, we are the ones that go through the reactions more than other people. Like, let's just put other people on the back seat for 5 minutes and then talk about it from the perspective of how do you respond to other people? How do you interact with them? How do you interact with yourself? How do you interact? Like, are you quick to get angry? Are you quick to get irritated? Are you quick to get happy? Do you like happy? Do you like the sadness? Do you enjoy drama? Do you enjoy trauma? Do you enjoy, what is it that you really enjoy? Because what we say and what's actually going on might be two completely different things. But because we're not, again, educated in flawless communication, we think, oh, we're saying it, so it should happen. Or we're like, but there's something that is known to us, which is about that congruency between the vibration of what you're saying and the vibration of what you're actually saying. If they don't match, then it's not going to happen because you're in cahoots with yourself. You're fighting with yourself. So there's this one underlying subconscious or unconscious, or let's say behind the scenes player who's like, I want this. And you don't want to communicate with that person because you're like, no, that person is too loud, or that person is too bright, or that person is too happy, or that person makes people uncomfortable, or that person has a lot of talent and abilities and I don't want to show it to the world. And then there's this person in front of you, which is that mask that you put on of who you think you want to be to please other people or to make them feel comfortable around you, or to, and it distances you from that authenticity. It distances you from your body. It distances you from your relationships. It also doesn't allow you to see the truth of all things. And that can be really, at least for a person like me, it's really tiresome because I genuinely like the truth. Like I'm okay no matter how gruesome it is. Like give it to me straight, so then I know where to go from there. But if I'm sitting with a lie, I mean, it drives me nuts because I take days to just dissect what is that? What is that? What is that? It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. And my brain goes, um, my tuning fork goes off very quickly.
Yes, absolutely. And how much does that go on for all of us? So this is really when you're talking about this, it's quite profound. The seven steps are quite easy, simple, and quite profound. And what is the simplicity of communication with you, with your body, right? That allows you to recognize when you have masks and veils up, when you're rejecting things, parts of you and other people with barriers up, that allows you to reconnect with you in a very different way, expand your zone and establish true connection.
We have a interesting question in the chat, which is, what if the truth of me is damn sarcastic? Is it kind to those near and dear?
Damn sarcastic.
Yeah, I love that question because for me, what it kind of translates to is like, but is that just one of the truths of you, where you enjoy sarcasm and it's a way of expression of making people laugh. So sarcasm I know for a fact that when I was younger, I didn't understand sarcasm. So people would say something and even if they were saying it sarcastically, for me, it would be very literal. And I couldn't tell the difference between somebody who's sarcastic versus somebody who's saying the truth. I took everything as face value. So, which really is a communication problem because I'm not able to get what they're trying to tell me. And then I had to make the effort to understand, oh, that's sarcasm. Oh, what is sarcasm? Oh, that's what that is. Oh, okay, cool. And then how can I play with that and make it fun for me? And, sarcasm can bring joy if you know how to use it. It can bring a lot of laughter if you know how to use it. And there's a fine line when we communicate between it being really light and funny to it being demeaning and um, I think insulting. But that also is the way that like the energy that we say it with can have these different impacts on people. That's what I meant by that connection to yourself, because when you're truly connected to yourself, you might discover that your method of sarcasm might be different. It might not be what you think it is because you haven't used it in so long. You might have even forgotten what it's like. You might not even go down that road.
Wow. Yeah. So, and when you are not, I always suggest to people when you are not um, at the moment able to hear not only what someone is saying, right, but also the 10 other, communications that are going on with each and every word to know, like Dr. Sasha was saying, if somebody is being sarcastic, if they're making a joke, if they're even saying something that's not necessarily true for you. If you're connected with you, right, then your body will let you know that, there's a little glitch here somewhere. And you can ask them a question, or you can be in silence. What is it that you would like to? We always talk about this. What is it that you would like to obtain? What's your, as Dr. Sasha was saying, your target immediate in 10 days, in a year, that you would like to obtain in your life, right? And just ask yourself, is there something, right, that I can communicate here, or actually hear in a different way, that will allow my communication with me to be flawless? Yeah, something like that. Do you want to add something to that, Lisa?
Yeah, because you said it brilliantly. It is it's simpler than you think it is. And you know how when you're thinking to yourself, how often do you tell yourself, no, I shouldn't go here because this is what's going to happen. So you've already told, like in your own communication with yourself, you won't even allow yourself to explore what might be available to you. You know, it's we're that quick to dismiss possibility and opportunities and exploration.
And 99% of what someone else is saying to you probably has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them,
Exactly.
you know? It has to do with them. It has to do with what's going on in their day. We talk about that in step 5, about, it's called engaging, right? Engaging the universe, engaging with people, and looking at things from a different perspective. So if somebody is being cranky, oh, yeah, yeah, good morning. What's so good about the morning? Buongiorno. Why is it a buongiorno? um, if you're actually able to look at it from a different perspective, right? From their perspective, perhaps. What is it that's shown up in their life today that has them like this? And what we invite also is to communicate with them in a different way rather than going into reaction or putting up those walls and barriers that are like, hey, you know, actually the guy that my buddy who with whom I created these songs, we created some songs together and the 7 Step song as well. And he, when I first met him, he had so many walls and barriers up, right, stopping me. And I started speaking to him we were in Italy. So I started speaking to him in Italian. And he said, I don't speak Italian. And he had all these walls and barriers up. But I went beyond the walls and barriers to him and started speaking in English. And I even called my sister, who was in America, living in America, and I passed him the phone because of, and so all of his walls and barriers immediately went down. And so, what is that flawless communication that you can be? That doesn't have to be correct or perfect, but can and will change your engagement with someone. If you'd
Yeah.
like to engage with them, if engaging with them will create your the future that you've been asking for, too. Yeah.
Absolutely love that. And when you were talking, what popped for me was also be willing to apologize. Like be willing to make mistakes and then be willing to apologize for it. Oh, I'm sorry if that sounded like this. I didn't mean it that way. It's just I'm an intense person. Sometimes it gets away from me. you can say whatever you require to make that person then go like, oh, okay, this wasn't about me, you know, and and then your ability to explore will just get stronger from there. But if you're not even willing to like apologize or like sometimes, in the heat of the moment, things get away from us and we might just yell or snap or do something that may affect another person around us. And I recognize that. I have begun to recognize that quite quickly. And then I'll immediately look to them and go like, hey, I'm just cranky right now. This has got nothing to do with you. I might be yelling and screaming at the air at the moment. Just be aware that this is just me right now. Okay. It'll pass. I know that it'll pass, but I need to like get it out of my system. And then
Right.
the people around me start laughing because they're like, oh, this is so funny.
Right. And apologizing doesn't mean that you're saying you're wrong. It's
Yeah.
exactly what Dr. Sasha is saying. You can, unfortunately or fortunately, you cannot get you wrong, right? It just might be, as she was saying, oh, expressing this is something that is showing up for me at the moment. And if someone is actually communicating with you in a way that seems like a judgment, right? Or seems like, pushing you
Sort of
away.
like an attack. Yeah.
Yeah. You might say, hey, you might invite them, hey, maybe you're seeing things from a different perspective. Can you share it with me? And you're not going into resistance. You're not putting up walls or barriers. You're not hiding behind a veil, right? And so perhaps would be the first person ever that actually, you know, engaged with them in that way. There's the former president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, who I love this quote. He said, "I can never fail. I either win or I learn something." So that's what Dr. Sasha was saying. Learning that, hey, this is may not be working for others, right? But what can I learn that would be a contribution for me and an invitation for them to communicate in a different way. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Absolutely. And that will teach you a lot more, which then you'll be able to go and interact with the world in a different way. So you'll not just be helping you, you'll be helping everyone, including you, which I think is amazing.
absolutely. Because if you're not connecting with you and honoring you, and being present here, then is that a gift to you? And if it's not a gift to you, is it a gift to the world? Step 7 is about connecting with the earth. And when you do that, right, there's a lovely beat on this planet, but also you know that you're at home wherever you are. Anybody you see who's physically present and on this planet has the same home that you do, right? So that's already something quite huge in common, right? And you don't have to understand the language that they're speaking. I've shared lots of times these directors, television film directors who have had artists, actors that they didn't communicate with the same language, but just with one word, hello. And the way they were expressing that word each and every moment that they communicated was one word, but about 10 different words energetically. And how can you begin communicating in your way flawlessly? And flawlessly doesn't mean you have to do it right and you can't do it wrong. It means without any blocks, without any walls, without any barriers, without any resistance, without pretending or trying to be someone that's a professional, or a certain way, um, or the mask that you're putting on. Yeah. And you get to see when other people are doing that too. And you don't destroy them. You don't go against them. You're like, I know what that's like. I've done that. I've been there. What's the invitation that I can be for my life? Yeah. Yes. So if you have any questions, we can be, and this, we have had lots of calls. This is a bit different. And it's a different time of year. So the simplicity of a life can give us a lot of joy and engagement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could
Yeah,
anyone?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask us?
We have some lovely seven steps teachers we would put in there. They're really each and every one of us is each and every one of us is using these seven steps in various areas of our lives, and each time we do an intro class, has it ever been the same? And or it
Nope.
depends on who shows up and who would like to be there. So if you've already done one with someone, you might want to check and do it with someone else. And if it's in a language you do not speak, let us know. We can help, let them know,
With
and they can
translation.
find a
Yeah.
translator. I can translate from Turkish into English. If they say merhaba, that means good morning. They say tashikula, that means thank you. and and I can translate from Hindi into English. Shukriya means thank you. No, but we can find someone who would translate more words than that for you.
We have
Yes.
we have Moises with her hand raised.
Oh la la.
She is our uh, teacher from Turkey. Merhaba Moises.
Merhaba.
Merhaba.
Merhaba. Hello.
Güzel, evrenle bağlantıya geçiyoruz. Kendimizle bağlantıya geçiyoruz. Diğer insanlarla çok güzel bağlantıya
We
geçiyoruz.
connect with the universe, we connect with ourselves, and we connect with others.
Peki neden en yakınımızla bunu yapamıyoruz?
And why is it not possible? Why is it not possible to connect with the people who are very, very close to us?
So truth, is it not possible?
Gerçek, sorry.
Mümkün öyle bir şey olmadığını biliyorum fakat
I know it's not something like this, but
bariyerleri
why?
indirdikten sonraki
After I
diğer
lowered my
taraftaki
barriers,
bariyer ve
the barriers
çarpıyoruz yani.
Towards the person next to me, it is their barriers up. It's the difference in distance.
Yeah, that's great question. I'd love to give a couple of examples about that. Let us know if it actually works for you. One of the things is to be quite present. Thank you. We'll just tell us if you have another one. To be quite present with the changes that are going on in your life, right? To recognize them. I remember like 13 years ago, 2010, for me, was such a transformational year. My brother and my dad left the planet. My husband and I almost divorced. My sister was working with my mom, and it was just so much change. I didn't realize it till the next year. I was like, wow, that's a bit different. But when you are willing to be present with the change that's going on with you, this is just a parallel, Moises. When you're willing to be present with the change that's going on with you, you actually can enjoy it and notice it. But if you're not present with it, then you already become that change and you don't even recognize and acknowledge that you've had the change. Haven't I always been like this? So, right, when you're present with you, connected with you, That's the first phase, right? You're noticing the changes that go on not only every day, sometimes 10, 20 per day. Okay. And opening up, expanding your zone, step number 6, to see what that communication with you, your furry and invisible friends, the planet is. So going back to our family, right? And the question about the connection with our family. If when you're present with you, you recognize the various invitations and perspectives of the connection you have with them that nobody else has in the same way you do, right? So you're willing to see it from a different perspective, right? Are you willing to look at the way they are communicating with you, the way you are seeing them and communicating with them from a different perspective instead of an obligation to do it in the right way? Does that make any sense? Because there's no way that you could not be connected with the family that you have been living with, kids that you have been with, and or even living in the same house. Yeah. Yeah. It's just that as you expand, as your zone expands, as your communication with you changes, it's not going to be the same as it was before. And you might be seeing things from different perspectives. Dr. Sasha, does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
I'm going to add something in.
you'd have to look at, am I not connected? Or is this connection just different?
Please repeat that question. I love it. Love it.
Am I not connected? Or is this connection just different? Because exactly what Cass said, when you expand and when you start to connect to you, everything changes, which means nothing is ever going to be the same. And if you keep trying to look for a particular outcome, you will miss exactly what's right in front of you. So rather than looking for that, sometimes it's not about the target. Sometimes you've got to fix the arrow before you can get to the target,
I love that.
right?
It's not about the target. Sometimes you just have to fix the arrow before you get to the target. And just a
Yeah.
reminder of what Dr. If you want to, I just would love to go back to that, what you were saying about, hey, guys, I hope this is all right for you. It's just a moment for me. But if there's something that you require or desire that you want to share with me, if I can give it to you now, I'll be happy to. If I can't, it's just because it's a change period for me, right? So that is not making them wrong, right? Not making you right.
Totally. Because also, how much does family want you also to be the same? Because they're used to you in a particular way. And suddenly you go out there and you change your hair and you change your face and you change your clothes and you come in front of them, they're going to be like, I don't even recognize you anymore. Who are you?
Right.
So it's really nice when you tell them, hey guys, I've changed again. I learned something new, would you like to check it out? Or just know that I'm experiencing something different, or maybe, give them a disclaimer. Like, I'm on this journey of change, which means I'm always going to change, which means I'm not going to ever be the same person twice. So,
But
would
I'm
that be
always with
okay with
you
but I'm
forever.
always with
Yeah.
you. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that.
And so you're not making them wrong, you're not making you wrong, and you're sort of opening them up. And they might go into, why are you changing? You say, well, have you ever seen the same sunset? Have you ever seen the same sunrise? The earth is everything is always changing. So if we're trying to stay still and not be in the movement of change, then probably we're not inviting things into our life. I'll just say step 6 is, expand your zone, right? Your comfort zone, and you begin communicating in a very different way. My dog, it's communicate with your furry friends and invisible friends as an invitation. My doggy, when he starts barking, if he's barking and biting, when I started, instead of being in resistance to that, you stop that. No, don't. If I start barking with him, he stops. He looks at me. He's a bit, and then he goes down on the ground. He changes. Often, Disha, who's here being a host on the call, thank you, Disha. When she calls me on the, phone and I put on the video, and she says hi to the doggy when he's barking or trying to, bite or something, he hears someone from a different perspective than he's used to, right? Physically present, and he stops. So when you're talking about flawless communication, right? She's yelling out, "Hi, Dante is his name. Hi," and he stops for a moment. That moment that they stop, you've got some openings, right, to come up with or to come out with in your communication. And all the teachers have different
And if I
approaches
can
to share.
if I can point something out here for all of you, did you notice how Cass didn't try to change Dante? She didn't try to put and force her point of view across to him. She was present with him, engaging with him, discovering what's going to work in her communication with him. She was like, it's this place where you're not trying to figure it all out. You're just really present in the moment and seeing what's available and taking it one step at a time. And believe me, one step at a time, you'll be able to climb a million steps. But if you think you're going to get to the millionth step in one step, that might not happen. So you got
And
to
let's
be
just
willing to
spread your
walk that
wings and
journey.
start to fly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
if any of y'all do that, then y'all can teach us how to do it.
Exactly. Wow, it's a little bit like an intro. All right. Moises, was any of that helpful to you, darling?
Evet, çok teşekkür ederim.
Yes, thank you
Belki
very
de
much.
Yeah, cool. Awesome.
belki de bariyerlerimi
Maybe
indirdiğimi düşünüp indirmemişim.
I thought I'm
Putting up barriers.
putting down my barriers,
Putting
but
down.
it was my barriers were not down at the moment. Maybe I was only thinking that they were down. That's maybe possible.
Yeah. And if you're connected with people, right, and you think you might have barriers up, then maybe your connection with them has you aware of their barriers, right? So
Thank
yes,
you. You just took it out of my head.
yeah, absolutely. So that pulling down the barriers, right, physically pulling them down, right, may not be necessarily about you, but it does lower anyone and everyone's barriers. And we'll take maybe a moment to do that. Yeah. So you can feel that, resistance, agitation, whatever around you. Breathe in, breathe out, and invite. Hello, barriers. Hello, walls. Hello, electrical charges. Take a rest. Take a little bit of a rest. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for making me aware. But just for a moment, let me come on down and take a little pause. A lot of times we think that that's the way we need to communicate, and we play with those. The 7 steps teachers that are on here, we play with those in pre-zooms and intros and 1-day prelude classes, and also in a lot of the explosion classes. Oh, I was gonna just yeah, we'll there's lots of lovely teachers on. Goulet, I see her on now too. Tomas, Sanchez, Jalal. Let's be the invitation for people to see, right? What is your flawless communication that the world is inviting you to be?
Amazing.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Thank
It's
you
been
so
such a
much.
beautiful call. And for those of you who would like to go deeper, and we truly mean deeper, because we've been exploring it for years and we keep finding new things to discover and explore all the time. We do have a couple of upcoming classes coming up. We have an intro and prelude with Cass and me. We have some of the prelude classes with some of the teachers from across the world, and you can find them. The links are in the chat. And there is an explosion class that is coming up, which is a 2-day, very deep, intensive class in December. So we'd really love to see you live and online or in person someday. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely. We've got Dr. Yes, so he doing a couple of days. He's got on virtual and has a class coming up, an intro together with Marcus, yes, and a prelude. That's awesome. And then me together with Dr. Sasha, and yes, and then the explosion. Yeah. So just play, see what works for you.
Yeah.
And let us know if you have any questions. You can find these recordings on the back end also if you'd like to hear it again, because I think I will hear it again as well. And have a wonderful, if you're listening here now, you're listening in the future, have a wonderful day and play, play, play. Okay.
Thank you for being on, everybody. Thank you, Cass. Thank you,
Thank
translators.
you. Yes. All right. Bye-bye.